Good afternoon, everyone. I am back again to talk about more fall pumpkins and squash, and I have a beautiful spaghetti squash here with me. I got this at Reid's Orchard in Owensboro, and I'm so excited to be doing this because spaghetti squash is so versatile. I have eaten it as a taco boat, I've eaten it as a pasta replacement. That's kind of how it got such a big name for itself, is it looks and tastes like pasta. So it's a really nice way to get more fiber, it's healthier than regular pasta, and it's just very versatile. So I'm excited to show you that and make some lasagna boats. But first I want to talk about where I got these. So like I said, I went up to Reid's Orchard this past weekend, and it was so beautiful because you pull in and you can see the rows and rows and rows of apples. And when you go inside their retail area, there's so many choices of apples. It's amazing. But also they have a huge selection of their pumpkins and squash. That's where I got this beautiful spaghetti squash. And there are also local products, local produce, there's jams and jellies and local ice cream and whole pies and apple cider slushies, and the list can go on and on. It's really amazing, and it's hard to not spend a lot of money. But also, one of the things that fascinated me the most was their kids area. So you can go and pay per child, and there were a lot of parents in there as well with their young kids, and there's a built-in trampoline into the ground, and kids were loving that. It was so sweet to see everyone jumping around, even like toddlers were jumping around on it. And there's slides, and there's little mini duck races, and there's a petting zoo, and there's even an area where the kids can like dig for gems, and they get to keep the gems, and everyone just looked like they were having an absolute blast. And I have never seen a kids area like that before. They definitely weren't around when I was a child, but I'm already planning to take my nieces and nephews out there in the future, and I'm so excited because it just looked so fun. And I wanted to join personally, but it would have been a little bit odd for me alone to go do that. So in the future. But yes, it was amazing. They had hay rides out to the pumpkin patch as well, where you got to choose your pumpkin, and even down there, there were rows and rows of apples, and there were even like the planting for berries for the spring. So it was just really lovely to see. There was even going to be a wedding there later that day, and they were setting up for that, and the setting was just beautiful. So I'm sure that that turned out really lovely, but they were just so nice there. And like I said, it was really, really busy, but I felt like everyone was kind of maintaining their social distancing and wearing their masks and being really careful while being out and enjoying nature, because I think everyone could just use a little bit of a recharge, and it was really great to see people supporting local. So I was really happy about that. And going back to our spaghetti squash, so what we're going to do is we are going to, just like last week, you're going to take a heavy knife and we're going to break this in half, roast it until we can pull it and it looks like spaghetti, and then we're going to fill it with toppings. So the amazing thing, like I said, is that this is so versatile. So I'm going to show you a basic way to make the lasagna, but you're also going to have the option of, if you want to make this vegan, you can make this vegan. If you want to make this a meat lovers, make it meat lovers. It is really up to you. I'm just going to show you the base and the deliciousness. And I actually had it for lunch the other day, and I love it. So let's get into it and let me show you how to do it.
If you joined us last week, this part is going to look really similar. So we're going to start with a clean squash. So just make sure that you've gotten all the mud off. I used a little bit of dish soap with mine. And then using a sharp and somewhat heavy knife, you are going to go around very carefully and try and get this open. So it's going to take a little bit of motion. It's going to take a lot of patience, and then finally crack it open. And once you get that cracked open, you're going to take a spoon and scoop out the seeds and goopy bits. Just try not to get too much of the actual squash out. And then give it a nice little coat of olive oil. It's not necessary to use a brush. I just like it to get an even coat on. And then give it a nice big pinch of salt and a big pinch of pepper. We're all about seasoning around here, and make sure we season as we go. Add these to a parchment lined baking sheet, and we're going to roast them at 400 for roughly 30 to 35 minutes. You're looking to get a fork in, but also see that when the squash pulls, it looks like spaghetti. It is probably best practice to let these cool down before you start shredding them, but I did not do that. So just be careful if you are doing this hot and use a fork and start shredding your spaghetti squash. You don't want a completely empty shell or a completely empty skin because this is going to be a lasagna boat. So make sure that you keep enough of a rim of sorts so that there is a steady base for your filling. And does it not look exactly like angel hair pasta? This is crazy. This is why it gets its name and why it is such a good pasta replacement. To the shredded squash, you're going to add a cup of your favorite marinara. I also added in a tablespoon of some pesto for a little bit of a different flavor. And then you're going to do about half a cup to a cup of ricotta cheese. Mix until combined, and then this would be a good time that you could add in any extra toppings that you'd like. I added a bit more sauce to mine to keep mine saucy, but you could add in some ground beef, ground sausage, some more vegetables. It's really up to you. Once your filling has everything in that you'd like and it looks really delicious, we're going to bring the spaghetti squash boats back over and add the filling inside. And once that is nice and smoothed over, I topped mine with a little bit more sauce and then some mozzarella. I did a mozzarella ball that I sliced, but you can easily do some shredded mozzarella, shredded Parmesan. It's really up to you. Once my spaghetti squash got to this point, I put it back in the 400-degree oven for about 7 to 10 minutes so that everything got warm and melty, and then put it on broil until all of the cheese got crispy. Serve this with some crispy bread, and you are ready to dig in. This is such a delicious recipe, and it is so versatile, like I said. I hope you guys give this a try, and go out and visit Reid's Orchard. I promise it is worth the drive, and you will not regret it. Enjoy!